Are you filming?
Yeah.
Well, let's get ready dressed. Let's hurry.
Here we are in Missoula.
And now she wants the patty cake for you in Missoula. Okay, let's go, Letty.
Today is what, June?
June 25th, Sunday. And it's the first day of our trip to North Dakota. And Letty's been such a good girl.
She wants to look out the window at the creek out here.
Okay. See the pretty creek?
Darling!
Say patty cake, patty cake. It's patty cake. Patty cake, patty cake.
We should get out of here.
We should.
Well, I don't know. It must not be that bad if somebody people are still walking around there.
Look at that guy, he's running away as fast as he can.
He just came from here.
But he's moving. Must be closer. He's trying to tell a guy maybe to get away. We should drive the other direction probably. If some of those tanks exploded, well, it'd be awful.
I don't think it could be, do you?
Huh?
Well, why are all those other people so frustrated?
Probably a car.
Yeah.
Oh, you think so? Would it make that much smoke?
Because I think if it was a gas station, we'd hear more my sirens by now.
There was a police
Well, that's true.
motorcycle that just pulled up.
Letty back to
Did
her
you get
roots
her
a little
changed
chilly.
already?
Yeah, she wasn't that messy. Just
Yeah,
Letty.
you better put a little sweater on her.
Yeah.
Well, here we are in Missoula. We're in the
Well,
middle
yeah,
of a fire.
okay, who dares go to the pool?
I
hear
do.
the water's cold.
I'll go if somebody else goes.
Too
Who will
cold?
go?
It's too cold.
It was?
Really?
You know what I will do generally.
I will not be going in there.
Yeah.
Away from it.
Where are you guys going?
Well, we're going to see the test the water.
Watching us waddle here. Back in the waddle. Oh.
Boy, I smell something now. You smell it?
Smells like some kind of a.
Is it?
I mean, it's not warm.
A boo-boo. A boo-boo. Boo-boo. Boo-boo.
Not in the truck. Stand farther away.
Did you get to see it?
Did he leave that deer? Is that deer still down there?
I don't know, Sandy's looking for it over there. You see it, Sandy?
Does it go?
Hello? Hello?
Dude, listen to that.
Hey! Echo!
Don't bother with that. What?
Shall be proof that you got breakfast.
I didn't know you quite got that on there. I'd have quit. Oh.
No, that'll make some good tape there, Wa.
Huh?
That'll make some good videotape there.
No, I can kind of. Anybody's around, I can't play. You know, it's got to come out of my
Yeah,
up here instead of on the sheet music. So
yeah.
kinda,
That's the way it is with me, too.
yeah. I can set when there's nobody around and just play for
Isn't that
hours at a time.
a great thing to
Yeah.
be able to do? Just sit down and
I
play
guess it is. I never think much about it, to be honest. We didn't do it for so long.
Yeah, you'd miss it if you couldn't do it.
Oh, jeepers. Yeah.
Breakfast. Yeah, go ahead and sit down.
Hey, that's it. Come on, sit down here. Come on, sit down and go eat. Well, no,
Roger, would
I
you
didn't
eat a
mean
couple
to, if you were going,
Huh?
Oh, why did you tell me to just my first bit? I'll
well,
just set him here.
You wouldn't?
Oh, you're making it for some people? Or?
Yes, I will make it. Can you eat eggs? I didn't know.
I'm not supposed to. But
This is scramblers.
she got
what's that?
scramblers.
What's
They're
that?
like,
No
egg
cholesterol.
beaters,
Oh,
no cholesterol.
oh, I can have those, I guess.
They're scrambled eggs. With no cholesterol in it.
You too?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, she don't know.
No, yes, she
No,
does.
no,
Better her than me.
no. Look over here.
She goes all in the view.
She knows the camera's on.
Yeah, you notice how she perked right up when she heard the camera was on. You gonna show off?
Oh,
Can you make some faces for Daddy?
no. How about making a face to Eddie, huh? Come on. Come on. Come on. Yeah. She gets more expression in her eyes.
I love her when she goes.
What's Annie Ann doing over there, huh?
I don't know, and I can't find. Oh, there it is.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Can't reach that, can you? Oh, God.
What's Ann doing over there?
Oh, right. This is Letty's first day of swimming. It's June 27, 1989. This is her first swimsuit. She wants to model.
Letty,
Letty.
you gonna go in the water?
On the bottom. Yes, She wants to go in the water now. Why don't I film and why doesn't Daddy take her in?
Alright, if you want me to.
Yeah. Okay, here's Letty going into the pool. Here she goes. Ooh! And there goes Daddy. Oh, look at Letty.
Stand all by yourself.
Wow. Look at Letty.
So Mama, how you can swim.
Ooh.
She goes under the water.
That's really good, Letty.
Don't drink the water.
All right.
Here's Letty and Medora.
Do you want to swim? She likes to stand by herself. Come here, Letty. Letty, come here. Come on, over here. Come on. Come on. Oh, her first duck. Get those bugs away. Get those bugs away. Hey, where's Daddy? Where's Daddy?
Daddy.
Dad, 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 Dad.
Did you see Dad, Dad?
7 years after Custer's battle, he moved in here.
Yes, sir. Oh, really?
He did. He set up a trust fund prior to his death, and he put $5,000 into a trust fund, which is nothing really. And Harold Schaefer matched it with another $5,000. And then we get to use the interest off of that for upkeep and painting and re-roofing and whatever needs to be done. They put walkways in the house one year. The carpeting that you walk on was used. That money was used to do that, so we wouldn't be walking on the original carpets. And they've been putting a few different curtains in. They're talking about replacing these old original blue ones here because they're in awful bad shape. Personally, I'd rather leave the old original that says they got into very heated arguments. And that was entertaining. Back in those days, a good heated argument was the same as a good TV show for us today. It was stimulating. I can remember my grandparents doing the same thing. You spend hours in what you'd think maybe was a really bad fight or something, but it wasn't. They were just making their points and debating the issues. Strongly, I might add. I personally don't like those kind of conversations.
Where are you from?
Colorado. I think she was quick to lend her services. So I think she was kind and generous, but on a social level, they were trained to be aristocrats, and they just couldn't.
They were cut above
You bet. They were cut above. They really felt they were. And out here, that didn't go over very good because the cowboys could really have cared less. They didn't like it.
Let me ask you a question. You know, you talk about presidents and all that. What was our president's name in 1934?
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Anybody?
Upstairs area, there's a large exhibit. The fireplace is very unique. Medora and the Marquis really did not spend their winters here. They would come in April and they'd go back to New York or France in about October. But early spring and late fall, you're going to have some heat in the house. And this fireplace has extensions of brick in several other rooms, so it is considered to be a central heating system, which was pretty classy for the time also. We can step next into Medora's office. Now, Medora did not have to clean the house and cook the meals and tend the children because she brought a staff of William Van Dries. And he helped the Marquis to shave, bathe, dress. He was a traveling companion. And out here in North Dakota, he ended up being a bodyguard because, like I said, the Marquis wasn't extremely popular with the local ranchers in the area. And there were times when this house was surrounded and they were trying to kill him. So poor William Van Dries finds himself serving as a bodyguard. We had Medora's area with her office and her bedroom. Now this whole corner of the house belonged to the Marquis. It's an area we don't think Medora ever entered into. Remember, they were aristocrats and they ran a very strict and a very formal household and went definitely by the caste system. But we do have his nightshirt, his fencing mask. He didn't really fence here, but he did a lot of fencing in France. In fact, he's been accredited with killing 2 of his opponents. That's how serious a matter it was. They would like to hunt in Montana, then disembark and go into the hills. And 6 weeks, and that was one of the problems. He kind of would forget that he was a working man, and he'd go off entertaining, and it would play an important part in maybe not staying home and tending the business too well, forgetting that he was a working man. The pack saddles were used to pack the supplies in for the big hunting trips that they often took. The cutter's slate is one of several that was shipped out here from New York City. Now this one has been restored, but down in the carriage house there's one down there that hasn't been restored. Does anybody know what this is for, or what it would be used for?
It's a foot warmer.
Yeah, a foot warmer. They put hot charcoal brick in there and then wrap their feet up with buffalo hide or cowhide on a cold smelly sleigh water. You're too young to know that.
I like antiques,
Oh,
so I
I
have.
see. So you haunt the auctions.
Yeah.
The bellows was used in the blacksmith shop, and it was owned by the Marquis, and it's very, very large. But this area had huge huge cattle ranches. There were something like 10 big, huge cattle ranches in a radius of 100 miles. And the cowboys would come into Medora on Saturday to get their horses shod and basically to catch up on the news of the day, because they said that was the most important place was the blacksmith shop. Well, maybe the 13 saloons might have gotten their business too on a Saturday night. The ribbon wire is the type of wire he would use to fence in a portion of the 10,000 acres that he owned here. But one of the biggest problems was he didn't put any gates in the fences. So when the local ranchers would ride across the hillside, run into one of these fences, sometimes they'd get very angry, cut the fence and go on through. Well, then of course the Marquis would get angry and he retaliated with gunfire. So there would be shootouts and in general a very hard feeling toward the Marquis de Morris. In one of those shootouts, a young man named Riley Lufsey was murdered. And he's buried up on top of the hill where the flag flies, and that is Medora Cemetery today. And there is a little stone up there that says, a little marker that says, the Marquis's bullet. See, the Marquis was finally acquitted of that murder because they couldn't prove whose bullet struck Mr. Lufsey. And they said later, many years later, an old-timer confessed he knew it was his bullet, but they don't reveal who because there's family in the area today. So I've never been able to find out who, and it doesn't matter anyway.
You want to go look at that? Coachman's house. Stable. That's the chateau up there. That was the coaches right there.
Where'd it go, Daddy? Oh, you still have it in your hands.
You can keep going if you want to. Get tired of it. Okay, Paul, you're at the
cabin. Hurry up, let's take a quick picture. We gotta get called to Philip Morris.
Right in there.
Hello, Bill.
Hello,
Right
Bill.
in.
We're done.
Can we go in?
No, so you shouldn't say that. You might show that video to Bill and Jim.
Oh, God.
Look at Daddy's taking the thing apart.
No, just
It was loose, so I'm taking the stones out of there and putting it back in.
What's it look like? Look at Sandy. I'm going in the car. God, these mosquitoes. She's look at them running back to the visitors.
It's all paved now.
not very, very touristy.
Medora, you're gonna love
You're
it.
gonna love it, Stan. It's beautiful.
Okay, we
The
do
moron
want
state.
the bug state.
More drunks per capita than any nation. Daddy, there you go.
Where's Dad going out?
There, oh, there he is.
The touch table.
Yeah, touch all you want, Phil. It's free. Zing, zing, zing.
Pow, pow, pow.
You got the horns. Yep.
Good.
Hello, Bill.
Where's Mom going out?
I don't know. These are neat pictures in here.
Don't need a cigarette.
Well, I had to wait for you, so I
Well, do you
thought I
think
might
we
as
should
well have
skip
one.
that trapper's kettle then, or stop here?
Oh, we better get going, don't you?
Skip that trapper's kettle.
Yeah. 18 miles.
Yeah, but then we have to stop again.
Why don't we just drive to the Custer house?
Maybe we should just skip that trapper's kettle.
Yeah.
Grab
Just by general sign. Not, we can make another question in an hour. Oh, that's fine.
So we can be a man down in an hour and a half.
We boogie.
they rode out when they left that morning.
Out that way?
That way or up these hills? Wonder if you can walk out there. Huh?
Well, they'll probably have it framed in before the snow hits.
Oh.
And the next one will be the central barracks down there. That's Barracks Row, where all enlisted men. There's 3 barracks down there. The central one will be built. Then on the north side of the square here, there's a guardhouse and then the Rangers straight across. There'll be the 5. And then after that, we don't know, but that's Foundation is the one that's doing the reconstruction, getting all the monies for it.
Are you part of this?
No, just with interpretation posting. They should be finishing here tomorrow.
Have they found any?
Well, what they're looking for is the corner post, some of the center beams, structurally how it was made. Primarily why they have to do it. And then state law, they have to have a date before they do any building on it. But they're finding some old bottles, a lot of nails, and old food scale. This is where the food storage was. They found a 67 coin, 1867. Really? Some whiskey flasks that are unbroken. Something like that. But to find, real interesting things, you usually have to dig the trash areas and place and that's what usually find it good.
Did they find anything under the custard pump?
Well, quite a bit.
Did they?
Yeah, they had 3 different digs there. First one was in 86.
I see.
Yeah,
Find dishes?
they got a display, I think, up in the visitor center.
Oh, did
some
they?
of the things in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
It's right
we'll go
before
there.
you go into the
Yeah.
theater, so if you get
Yeah.
up there, just stop and look at some
Yeah,
of it.
that'd be
That's a few
interesting.
things. Yeah, it sure is, yeah.
Well, when did Custer and her mom leave here? Was it May?
May 17th.
May. So over a month then.
About 5 weeks, and then they got to the little big
Oh,
dying.
How many miles a day did they average?
Well, they must have went, let's see, probably about 10 to 15. They left here with about 1,000 men. They had about 1,700 horses, 150 wagons,
Oh,
and about 150 beef cattle on the hoof.
they took those ones?
Yeah. Yeah, and it was hot. Really hot.
Which way did they start out? Did they go?
Well, they made a circle through the parade grounds here, and then they also had a 20-piece band they took with them.
Oh,
They played, when they left here, they played Gary Owens piece for his regiment, and then the girl I left behind. We went past off of this row, and well, there's an interpretive sign up there, but that first ravine you see up there, that's the Custer Trail.
back
That
of the
route,
house then.
Yeah, it's the closest one. Well, if you drive back, you'll see that big marker up there.
Yeah.
And there's another one that goes straight up, right,
Oh.
right by the infantry post.
I see.
It was a route that people going east and west took. Like they go to Fort Keogh, Montana. A lot of the wagons came down here, and of course they get down to the landing here, and there was steamboat activity down here. And then the railroad came and hit Bismarck in 1873, and that's the year that this post was built. They brought in 700 boxcars of lumber from Minnesota to build the cavalry post.
Really?
The infantry post in the hill was built first.
Oh, I see.
That was in 72, and that was infantry. They were no longer out here. They found out that the infantry wasn't, a good army didn't keep up with the Indian on horses. So that same year they created money from Congress and had this here fort built. So that was done the same year in 72, and they started building it in 73. So they renamed everything. It used to be Fort McKee. Yeah, there was a couple companies.
Then the injured, did they bring those to Bismarck?
Yeah, came down on the steamboat.
Yeah, I remember reading that.
About 50 hours, set a record for speed and.
Yeah, I'd like to see that boat. They've reconstructed that boat, I read.
Well,
Far west?
It's not reconstructed. They've got just kind of a tourist boat here. They're
Oh.
thinking about reconstructing.
Oh, I see. I thought
They
it
have
said...
kind of a tourism paddle wheel thing that goes up and down, gives tours. They call it the Four West.
Oh, I see.
It's really not a steamboat.
It's not a replica
It's built
of
out
that.
of steel hull and all that.
Oh,
Because
oh, yeah.
of Coast Guard rules now. You can't have,
Yeah.
everything's got to be built for safety of the people.
I wonder what happened to that boat. Do you think it just disintegrated?
Well, I think down in Nebraska, it sank.
Oh,
It got old, and
oh, yeah.
I think it was down there, and then eventually it struck something and sank. A lot of steamboats sank. There's quite a few up and down the river here. That's
Is
still
there?
Yeah, there's one that a few years ago the water was low. The Admiral O'Neill was going north of Bismarck, close to Stamp, which is probably 50 miles, 60 miles upriver, and that showed up. Some of the timbers you can see from the air. When Costeau came through here doing a story on the Missouri River, he started Montana. He spent not quite a day here, and he filmed that first program. That steamer that was taken.
Really?
Where are you people from?
Washington.
Oh, gosh, we have met a lot of people from Washington
Really?
out here this summer.
We're originally from Grand Forks, so that's where we're headed now.
Oh, yeah. My son-in-law and daughter live up there.
In Grand Forks?
They get up.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Nice day today.
Deanna will be your guide this afternoon, or this morning, excuse me. If you'd like to take pictures, please feel free to do so, but we ask if you wouldn't use your flash, because it will have an effect on the furnishings in the house. The best way to begin is to tell you that this was not the first commanding officer's residence to stand on this site. The Custers had lived here a little over a year, when on February 6th of 1874, Mrs. Custer was awakened during the night to the sound of roaring in the chimney above their bedroom. When she sent her husband to investigate, the general found that their house was on fire. The gas that was used in the petroleum paper, which at that time was used as a form of insulation, had exploded, and the whole side of the room had blown out. At that time, there were no fire engines or water supplies in the event of a fire, and so the best that anyone could do was try to save as much from the house as possible. The Custers didn't have anything left from the first house that they lived in, but the losses that Mrs. Custer mourned the most were a collection of newspaper articles about her husband during and after the war, and also a wig made from her husband's hair that she frequently wore to fancy dress balls. The following summer, the Custers received orders to rebuild their home. It was at that time that the general decided to make some changes to the house. This house was rebuilt with the changes that the general made, and is a replica of the house that they lived in 1875. As we step through the parlor doors, we'll step back to the year 1875 when the Custers were living here, and I'll take on the role as an officer's wife here at Fort Lincoln. The Custers believe that the main function of their home is to be a social gathering place. The general makes it known to all of his officers that his home is open to them at any time, day or night. And Mrs. Custer has taken up the role as hostess every night of the week and plans most of the entertaining that goes on here. The general's writing frequently confines him to his study, which is across the hall. One night's amusements kept Mrs. Custer from visiting her husband as she usually did. There was a knock at the door, and an orderly entered with a note, but we begged Mrs. Custer to reveal its contents. The general had written, "Do you think I'm a confirmed monk?" Well, of course, we insisted that she go to him at once. The bay window was put in specifically to please Mrs. Custer. She feels that it breaks up the long line of the parlor wall and also varies the severe outline of the normal army living quarters. You can imagine how happy she is to be living in this house after living in tents and temporary residences for so many years. And I'm sure that her and the general will be living here very happily for many years to come. The piano was rented just last autumn from St. Paul, Minnesota. The long winter days are so lacking in entertainment that the poor thing gets played from early in the morning until late at night. They had forgotten to send a tuner, but the blacksmith has made one that works just fine, and one of the men used to be in a piano house before he enlisted, and he keeps it in fine working order. Mrs. Custer enjoys playing the piano, along with the harp and the guitar. The room that we can move into now is the dining room. The thought of the general and his wife having a quiet, leisurely dinner together in this room is practically unheard of, because the general is away more than he is here. But he makes sure that Mrs. Custer's family and friends from the east visit her frequently. Some people have asked as to what types of food we eat here in Dakota Territory. I can assure you we eat the same things that you do. A typical festive evening meal might include roast beef and pork with corn, potatoes, biscuits, butter, and coffee. For dessert, we usually have cake or pie, and breakfast consists of fried sausage, biscuits, and coffee. Some people have even asked me as to what the general's favorite foods are. The one thing that we know for sure is that he likes onions. As we go through the next passage to the kitchen, you'll see on your left the water closet, which consists mainly of the hip tub. There is no running water here in the house, and it is the enlisted men's duty to bring the water to the back porch, and from there the maids will bring it inside. Across from the water closet is a pantry, which is used for storage. Since Mrs. Custer is the wife of a judge, the general doesn't feel she should spend any time in this room at all, and he has made it quite clear that her necessary studies should be kept as short as possible. As I mentioned before, there is no running water in the house. All of the water that is used is pumped from the Missouri River and brought to the fort by wagon. From there, the enlisted men will bring it up to the house. The cellar is the only remnant from the Custer's first home, and it's become quite the talk of the fort because if you look down into it, you can see that the general is currently keeping one of his pets down there. The general was hunting last week and brought home an untamed wild cat and intended to keep it as a pet. But Mrs. Custer has persuaded him to donate it to a zoological garden. As we go upstairs, please watch your step, and feel free to look around the servants' quarters at the top of the stairs. These are the servants' quarters. The Custers have 2 maids, and Mary serves as their cook. People have questions about how much a servant makes here at Fort Lincoln. Just last week, each maid was given a check for $256. Captain Tom Custer shares in the payment of the salaries with the General. The room that we'll go into is used for sleeping quarters. The Custers have many visitors to their home, and when needed, this room will be used for sleeping. But when this room is not in use, it's used for storage, as it is quite large. The one thing that this house does not lack is space. But this room is the primary guest bedroom. It's very rare that this room will ever be empty, with Mrs. Custer's family and friends visiting, and also the guests that the General invites. One frequent guest to this room is Captain Tom Custer, and it's to the point where Mrs. Custer refers to this as Tom's room because he is here so often. The room we'll pass by is on your right is the trunk room, which is used for storage. The billiard room was added by the General to his second home. When he tires from riding, he and Mrs. Custer will play many a game of billiards. Card playing is another popular pastime. Now, Mrs. Custer admits that she does not enjoy playing cards, but she is gracious enough to sit in whenever another is needed. She has tried diligently for 12 years, when just last month she trumped her partner's ace. Well, Mrs. Custer has been excused from ever playing cards again. The desk that you see in the corner is the General's field desk, and it goes with the General whenever he is away from the fort. Then we can now go downstairs to the General's favorite room of the house.
Is that his real field desk?
Yes.
Up there? He didn't take it along though to Little Bighorn. did he?
Obviously, or wherever they found it, someone preserved it.
Yeah, I was wondering. Well, I suppose he could have taken it, but
This is the General's study. The General was quite enchanted with the idea of having a room entirely for his own use. And the maids have said that at night he'll go on raids of the furniture in the house and carry all of the best pieces to this room. As you can see, this is where the General keeps most of his hunting trophies. The General does love to hunt. One of his favorites is the deer head, which is a souvenir from a hunting trip with Bloody Knife, who is the General's favorite Indian scout. The pictures of the men that you see are those that the General loves and admires the most, such as General McClellan, Lawrence Barrett the actor, and General Sheridan. Mr. Barrett is such a good friend of the General's that when he is in New York, Mr. Barrett will invite him to visit backstage. The lounge here in the corner is where the General takes his afternoon naps. He'll throw himself down on the lounge on the Mexican blanket and take up one of his dogs for a pillow. Currently, the General has 40 dogs, all of which he'd love to keep here in the house, but Mrs. Custer only permits one dog at a time. At one time, the General even kept a tiny field mouse in an empty inkwell on his desk. And we can go into the Custer's bedroom.
Is that Mrs. Custer?
Yes, it is.
A pretty woman.
The door you see in the corner leads to the outside, and it was added by the General to his second home. He tells us he put it in to give them easy access to the outhouses, which are directly out back. But many people believe he put it in as a safety precaution, in case they should ever have a fire again, so they can exit this room safely. There have been some questions about the lengths of the beds, and I find that surprising because I thought that everyone knew that sleeping in a propped up position prevents consumption. If consumption doesn't get you at Fort Lincoln, the mosquitoes will. It's been said that this is the worst place in the country for mosquitoes, and I believe it. They inundate the house. That tarlatan is put around all of the doors and windows, and you don't dare to light a lamp after dusk. At 5 o'clock, the maids will come in and put netting around the beds and close the doors and windows, no matter how hot it is outside. The final room of the house was added just for Mrs. Custer. This is Mrs. Custer's dressing room, and along with keeping her clothing here, she stores her sewing equipment, as she is a seamstress. Now the maids, of course, assist Mrs. Custer in dressing in the morning, but they've said that the general buttons a few buttons himself every once in a while. And we can exit the house to the back porch. Visitors we've had here to the house. Many people stop by hoping to catch a glimpse of the general and his wife. But the general and his wife have decided to go riding today, and so they will be unable to make an appearance. But they do send their greetings, and they hope that you will come back to their home many times. Before you leave, if you would please sign our guest book so that the Custers know that you did stop by. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them. If not, I hope you have a nice day here at Fort Lincoln.
How about the furniture and the wall hangings and whatnot?
They all date back to that era.
Where have they been kept?
They went all across the country. Went to auction sales, antique places, from in people's homes, and bought them.
But they were actual belongings of the Custers?
No,
Oh, just
no.
of the period.
Right, just of the period. The only thing that actually came from the Custers was his field desk, the set of curtains, the maroon set of curtains that were in the living room. Those came from their second home. And there's a turkey platter in the kitchen. And that's all that we had. And then there's a picture in his study, one of the pictures in his study. And that's all that we have that was theirs.
Do you know what the total cost of the project was to build and furnish?
I don't know about the furnishings, but just to build was over $200,000. And I don't know.
No idea on the furnishings?
No idea. And a lot of the things, were donated. You know, the furnishings were donated by people, like from around the area, because they wanted other people to enjoy them. And just as long as they were taken care of is all that they asked.
Do the park rangers secure it then, or what security is used?
There is a security system throughout the house, but the park rangers keep an eye on it too.
You don't know where they got that field desk from, huh?
I'm not sure where they got it from. Two gentlemen from here in Bismarck found it at an auction sale and bought it and are keeping it here at the house. But I'm not sure where it was that they found it at. Their bedroom set came from the fort. It wasn't theirs, but the shipping papers are still on it. And so the bedroom set was here in the early 1880s.
Oh.
But that was after the Custers had left already. So we know for sure that that was here at Fort Lincoln for a time. And it's assumed that their bedroom set probably looked very much like it. You know, because the Army only had, you know, certain things that they would buy for the families. And so we're assuming that their bedroom set was probably just like it.
That little hand-sewn thing, wall hanging, I wonder who made that?
I don't know.
Somebody's in town here probably.
I'm sure. The piano that's in the living room, a woman had in her basement.
Here in Bismarck?
Here in Bismarck. And the executive director from the foundation was on TV and had pictures of things that were still needed for the house. and she had a picture of the piano. And that afternoon this woman called her and said, I think I have that in my basement. Would you like to come and look at it?
Is that right?
And sure enough, and it wasn't theirs, but it dates back to 1875, and that was the year that the Custers brought a piano to the house.
Gee.
And
Good.
so it's just like the piano that they
Oh,
had.
how lucky. Wow.
And so she sold it to the foundation for much less than what it's worth, just so that they would take care of it is all she asked. The general's field desk, or his desk that's in his study, is a replica of his desk. His desk stands in a museum in Michigan, and they weren't willing to part with it. They wouldn't give it up. And a lot of things, the only way people would give it to them is if they kept it in glass cases, so that it wouldn't be exposed. And this isn't a museum, it's a house. And so there were some things that they wouldn't accept, because they didn't want things to be sitting in glass cases. They didn't want it to have the effect of a museum.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. They did a real nice job on this place.
Before they're finished, they hope to have completed 4 more buildings.
That's what we heard, yeah. They're working on the commissary now? Or?
They're planning on being done with the dig tomorrow. They're hoping that they'll be able to finish up. And then by August or early September, they'd like to have started building it.
Does the foundation receive its money just from donations? And then the charitable organizations that,
Right.
that's all. That's all.
There were some grants, a couple of federal and state grants that they received, but most of it is from donations.
Then did the foundation hire you folks as the guide?
Right.
You do a nice job.
Thank you. I'm
Really
glad you
sorry
enjoyed
to do
it.
that. Over on the other side as you're walking toward the building, is there an old washing machine?
Yes.
Is that what that
Yes.
is? Okay. You have to walk around there because it looks like one.
And that's where they did their laundry, was out on that little porch directly off from the kitchen. So that's where they did the laundry, and then in the wintertime they just pull it into the kitchen.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice day. Bye-bye.
We love to live in this.
Well, there's a few changes.
Yeah. Here's the well.
I missed that one too. I didn't see it. Isn't that cute?
Oh, my word.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just the well water.
I thought you said that's where you did their laundry.
Well, it is where they do the laundry. You want to be in the picture? Yeah.
Wouldn't let him keep his life.
Where's he going?
St. Cloud. He's a good man. He's an honest man.
What's he hauling?
I don't know.
Okay, we're here just outside of Jamestown.
Jamestown, we're boogieing into Fargo.
We get the right balance.
Okay, we're outside of Jamestown here. Just
Okay, let's go see where Jerry is smoking. Okay, they're over here smoking. He's a good man. He's an honest man.
that guy I was talking about,
good man. He's an honest man.
What's that, buddy? I guess it's
Darling.
She likes that, watch those trucks. And get some ice out of there.
Actually, I might.
Yeah, here's one. No,
Where are you going?
Oh, I'm gonna go to the car.
Oh, you're going to come.
You want to come? You want to come or you want to sit here? You want to sit here?
Full of breakfast.
Huh?
Full of breakfast.
No, I gave her that. No, she likes to sit there.
Right, you guys?
She likes it. Is it good?
Darling. Huh? Where?
Fargo.
Right here is part of 93 miles. It's Grand Forks to Fargo.
80. 80 to
80, so 93 and 80 is 173 and 73.
Well, better get boogie. You know, Paul, you used to be able to go 24 hours a year. Not as good now, Paul.
Boogie down the road.
Huh?
We better boogie though, right?
Yeah, we got a boogie.
We got a boogie.
We gotta go 75 again. We were doing 75 a lot of the time.
Is that a state patrol that went by back there to see him?
Yes, sir.
Was it state patrol?
Yes, it was.
Huh?
Yeah, keep an eye out for him. Did you see me when I went through that stop sign?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're lucky a car wouldn't come you.
Well, I realized it just as I started to go in it. I looked both ways.
And you noticed that. So
Huh?
you're covered with light.
Yeah, the lights. I was so busy looking at the lights. This is what I mean. Letty, you gonna go on a boat?
Yes, Daddy, I'm going to go on the riverboat.
All right. There it is.
Here's the boat, honey. They did take out a town check for your mom paid for the stuff that you did.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It needs to be done while it's sat on shore. Just hit it with the sand.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Maybe they don't have that road anymore.
Here's the tourist, you know.
Oh, yeah. It's probably one of those tape log How many years that take?
It's crazy glow. What's Jerry doing?
No, I don't know. He took Grandma's car, and I don't know where he went, so.
Doing a tour of the instead of in the back like we do. Steve will take the car.
Yeah. Well, I imagine he probably went up to see us.
Is this water deep enough for this boat?
Roger, well, they have water ski on this, and when I ever learned, I learned to water ski so fast, if I had to water ski. I'd stay up no matter what. Actually, I think it's kind of boring. It's kind of boring, there isn't that much to see.
They got big logs.
She always says it's not loud. She always says, oh, my house is really small.
Numbers for you. There's Bobby and Sue. Ted and Alice for
She was how old
the Fern family.
when I saw her last? Yeah, but nice to see.
Those horn signals mean something to voters. One signal means it's a warning signal. We're coming around the blind corner here, as you can see. It's about a 90-degree curve. And that warns the water skiers that the plane's coming around the curve. And 2 times on the whistle is our turning signal. And 3 means we're backing up. 5, of course, is the warning signal, but there was nothing in the book for 4, so we invented one just for the Dakota Queen.
You want to come over and talk to her?
4 honks and whistle means the kids on the bank have dropped
She
their
likes
pants.
friends.
That's okay, we'll pick it up. We won't eat it, we'll pick it up.
This is Maddie, Letty. This is Katie, right? Yeah. She likes you.
She likes you, though.
Yeah.
She'll warm up, I guess.
She really? Do you want to tell her what it is? She doesn't know what that is.
Boy, is Katie ever a pretty girl.
I hope she gets long blonde hair like yours. I hear you went to theater class this morning. What'd you do? You did? What play?
You ever seen the fastest swimmers in the world? Look at kids trying to swim and keep from getting run over by the river.
Look at that.
Oh, no.
You guys know where they're going to
Do they still drown every year out there?
Your dad used to swim in this river.
They had the bag swings that take them out, and I mean, they fly out into the water.
Really?
They really, I don't think I'd go out on
I never swam in here when I was a kid. I was too afraid there'd be somebody dying every
Good for you. I bet Doug did.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
probably did.
you guys instilled fear in us not to go near this thing. Yeah, I was.
We've got blood fights right out here.
You guys did? Really?
If those are my kids, I can come and tell them. I don't know.
So, I heard you're going to Minneapolis. I heard you're living down there already, huh? 9 years.
Your old buddy's in town, Arkansas.
Oh, is he? Are you sure and left out?
He just got caught for
Thought he was in prison.
He got all those charges dismissed. He went to the bug house to dry out, and he's on probation. I bumped into him at the bar here last month, so they're doing well. So they're able to talk to him again.
Smoking a cigarette too.
Just a small fun.
That's all I see. Is that right?
Standing closer. Ever since our reunion, I learned to stand closer when I take pictures.
God,
They want money.
diseases that probably get out of that river.
That makes it look that bad. That's all the contact with the soil. Our fort was right over here someplace.
It used to be on that side.
What's your sister doing now?
Living here. We just saw her about.
Anybody else is accused? Yeah, they are.
I look at them like, oh, I'm glad the kids are chasing them all the time.
They get so heavy. She always wants me to hold her, but she's so heavy. And I can't hold her long.
Yeah, she's just crazy about Wanda. Just Wanda walking through the room and it's instant.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I think it's the hardest age for a mother, but it's the hardest age for everybody else.
Yeah, I haven't seen your sister for like
She wants to walk you. She wants
at
to
least
be
20
on her
years.
feet.
Yeah.
No, well along like the couch or something like that, she will.
I like their style.
You haven't been back here for a while?
Come back.
Well, we look at his babies. I can always see it in an older one. Yeah.
First I've seen it.
Yeah.
The scenic Red River of the North is one of the few rivers in the world that flows north. Its headwaters consist of a lake called Travers near the South Dakota border. Its mouth is at the southern edge of Lake Winnipeg, Canada.
North
Total
Dakota.
distance of the river, 280 miles.
And then
But by river,
we're all getting
it's
together for my
550
grandma's
miles.
birthday.
The river
here,
in
too,
our area has a depth of between 18 and 45 feet.
pretty
We've
old.
designed the Dakota Queen for use on this river.
Huh?
She draws only 2
Yeah.
feet of water when loaded. She has an overall length of 90 feet,
well as
and the river is
you-
180 feet wide.
Yeah.
This allows us to make turns very carefully without
She's got 2
contacting the
canes
riverbank.
now and stuff.
We've explored the length of the Red River from Fargo to Grand Forks. As a matter of fact, in August of 1984, Jim Bison and Steve Magnuson, both at Grand Forks, water skied the entire distance of 165 miles in one day.
Jeez.
This has
He
not
didn't.
yet been challenged.
He didn't want to fall in either, I guess.
Keep this boat going.
Look at those homes, right?
Yeah. Big yards.
That means. Was that the point or is that?
Is your sister, is she in town for a while?
Well, she might be by, she left that
They have a night.
Oh, yeah.
Do they?
Dance groups at
Oh, no, that'd be fun, wouldn't it?
And then that Sunday noon they have a Christian brunch. Yeah, it's religious singers or something. I think it's on Sunday morning or lunch or something.
Waters or something, Waters or something.
What is that thing?
I'm not that I keep in contact with. Do you keep in contact with anybody back here?
See, I went into, oh, yeah. No, he was there. But why? Kmart is going to be open.
They're sitting in bars all the time. Yeah, I'm just, I don't have much bar fly, so I don't have much in
On the
common
4th?
with them, I guess.
Well, I don't know. Warren's coming tomorrow.
Oh, but no, we were saying if they wanted to come on the 4th, if they were still in town
Oh,
and
well,
everything.
yeah. Well, I
I just assumed that, but I don't know if they'll be here.
Okay.
Warren, I think Warren and Lynn might be here.
Okay.
Yeah. You seen him?
Yeah.
He's got 2 kids now.
We have been traveling alongside the Lincoln Dike area. This is a man-made project completed in 1956 to guard against the floodwaters of the Red.
190.
The river floods on an average of once every 6 years. The first flood on record was 1796. This was reported by some French fur trappers. You may remember the last big flood we had in 1979. There was a comparable flood in 1897, which created a lake out of the Red River Valley, 30 miles wide and 150 miles long. It was during this flood that the brewery located at Central Park had to be dismantled, as it had become damaged by the floodwaters. The Red also has its dry years. 1858 was such a year. At that time, we have a report of a small child playing with his little pail at the edge of the river. A steamboat captain came drifting by, saw the child, and yelled out at him, "Hey, you kid, put that water back."
How many times have you been on?
He was too busy to think.
I wasn't on all last summer. I don't know, maybe 8 times.
I wasn't going to do it unless, and I thought if I'm going to go, I'm going to stop and see some things. It's too long a drive, jeez. Yeah, we stopped in Medora.
I said, you're on Fargo's side. Yeah, I'd like to go to that Bonanzaville. That sounds so good. Yeah, that's right. You know, they have a place called Trollwood Park. They have something every weekend.
We thought about renting a motorhome.
Yeah.
6 people in a Winnebago van for 5 Imagine trying to all use the bathroom at the same time.
Right into your camera screen. Look out, folks, they're coming! Shelly, get them! Did you get him? Did she get him?
Good job.
I was telling her about this, and she said, you know, that doesn't surprise me. She used to work for Grandma in Puzzle, you know. And she said, I remember Grandpa telling Grandma, that's not my age. I'm older than that. Isn't that weird?
Yep. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
About a month ago.
But those Norwegians are just crazy. They changed their name.
You did. So did you get some money from the tooth fairy?
It was about a month ago, honey.
Oh, gosh. Their dad was
Mama, 25 cents.
John's son.
Wow, that's a lot, isn't it? Did you spend it or did you save it?
Yeah, well, I don't think they did that in Norway.
Is that when you did yours? Oh, that's a good place for it.
So what they did, I don't know what they did with this, like Oliver's daughter. What they did with that was in America, because you don't hear that much now.
Yeah.
Yeah, her back was back.
Yeah, I don't know what they...
That's what
If you open your mouth, you can just see it pointing through. Oh,
Yeah.
it's hard to find it.
Way back in the canals somewhere, yeah.
So they have all the records there by first name. And then you look for Oliver, all these different Olivers, and find, well, whose daughter was she? Oliver who? And that's what you look for, is by first name.
God, it's sad you can't tell you've had 3 beers though, can you? Okay, there he is, Mr. Easy Money.
Hey,
It's on me.
Keep your wall in, folks.
Keep your wall in. It's on me, boys. North Dakota wall.
Tourist.
Totally tourist.
Yeah.
North Dakota wall.
We'll send the Monopoly money out. Let her rip.
It's on me.
We love tourists. They're so gullible.
Yeah, I know. That's all they had.
Sure.
So Jim,
I don't know.
ever since you left the Seattle area, the Green River killings have seemed to have stopped.
Oh, that's because I'm down here doing it.
Red River.
Just dump along the road and drive up. When they gassed Bundy, I didn't put a stop to it. No, sir. He was only a slight diversion.
Slight diversion.
Satan's child's here.
Yeah, let's hear what that thing on your leg means.
You know what it means.
Yeah. Show him your, show him,
What?
show him this.
What is
Get
that?
a picture of it.
Yeah.
Get a picture of that right there. So we
What
can
does it say? 666?
Mark of the Antichrist. I am the Antichrist.
Now we're gonna go have somebody figure out what.
She wanted to come see you. Hi, darling. Hi, darling.
She wanted me to take her.
I think so.
Where you going?
It's nice and cool in here.
Yeah.
Darling. Darling of the darlings. She has peaches on her nose today.
I can tell him to give you one.
Give one.
Yeah.
We gotta get some new batteries.
Yeah, it's really low.
Yay, I'm here.
Oh, not
If you do that,
dinner.
once you guys
Wait till dinner, okay?
Wait, look in here.
You're gonna go on another trip. Where to?
Look at here. Show Daddy that.
Betty.
You're gonna go see Aunt Beth? Or Cousin Beth?
there we go.
Turn back around now. Turn back around and talk to Grandma.
Come on, hey.
Yeah?
I'm going to get some Peters.
Are you?
Yes.
I will miss you. I want you to stay here.
No, I can't.
Why?
Because
Show Grandma your bottle.
How come?
I'm going to go down and sleep there I want.
Look at here.
You gonna sleep there with your mom?
Yes.
You wanna sleep with me?
What?
You wanna sleep with me?
No, I can sleep on my, I'm with my dad I want. I'm going to get some Peter I want.
Well, I noticed you're over there 2 seconds
It's
flat.
fall, yeah. And guess what? Jenny called me up and then some ball worse fall at me. I called her.
Come over here.
Telephone man.
What was that?
I want to go with.
Hugs? That's a hug?
Wait a minute.
Letty. I got my ticket.
I can't go with you.
My leg sisters.
Okay. You don't have to go with me. You can go with your daddy when he goes, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I have a hug before you go? Okay, guess a color. Guess a color and I'll let you go.
Letty. She needs a nap, I think.
Okay, Betty. She wants you to play with her.
Come here, Jay. We can all do that and they can stop by and pick up the
No. 7 years
Can you show Grandma how you got it?
Nice Wanda did.
Yeah, did you go to that Lion show? That was
This is really fun for me to be able to look out at all of you and see so many people that look like my grandma. Grandma Bach. I'm Grandma Dina. I'm going to sing a couple of very familiar hymns. The first verse is, I think we all have sung these many times. What a friend we have in Jesus and beautiful Savior. My mother, Violet, is accompanying me, and she is Mrs. Nels.
The 12-year-old boy was lost. Mary and Joseph not missed Jesus till they had gone a day's journey and sought him among their kinsfolk. It was probably normal then, as it is now, for cousins of the same age to stick together whenever the families were joined. From Luke 2. Mary also appreciated the support of her extended family. First, when she needed someone to talk to about her unusual pregnancy, she went to the hill country and spent 3 months with her cousin Elizabeth. And when she stood at the front of the cross and watched her son die, family members stood by her. John 19. The extended family has been part of our history from the earliest days until now. It is a universal reality. Everyone has an extended family. Everyone does not necessarily have a spouse, a child, or siblings, but everyone belongs to a family with a father and mother, who in turn had a father and mother all the way back to Eve. Since the extended family is such a common denominator for the human race, it is interesting to ponder what unique role it has played in the history of the world. But perhaps an even more important question for us is what it can do for us in the future. What specific contributions can the extended family make toward the goal of restoring family life? I think the extended family makes at least 3 important contributions. First, the extended family can be used of God to model the Christian life from generation to generation. Second, the nuclear family, or single adult, finds sustenance in the larger branch of the family tree. And third, the extended family can pick up the pieces of a broken marriage and be a reservoir of healing and strength for the survivors, the single parents and their children. The faith of our ancestors is this next chapter. One generation shall log thy works to another, and shall thy declare thy mighty acts. That's God in the time. With the breakup of the extended family, we have lost the way of making disciples and modeling the Christian life. When Paul wrote to Timothy, commented on how the young people have had the advantage of a godly family. I am reminded of your sincere faith, the faith that dwelt first in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice, and now I am sure it dwells in you. From childhood you have been acquainted with the sacred writings which are able to instruct you for salvation. 2 Timothy 25. And here's more on kingdom values for the home. This first and most important aspect of God's value system is that the faith and love with which we respond to God comes from God in the first place. It is freely given. Nothing is more important to impart to our children than the fact that we come to God every day of our lives, bankrupt, with empty hands, to receive the free gift of grace. First, we are given faith. We are given the faith we need to receive God's gift. Then we receive God's grace, and after that, God's love. And once God's love is poured into our hearts, Romans 5, we love God. We love because He first loved us. We receive from God even the love we have for Him because of God's tremendous love for us and the work of His grace. We need not fear Him. Yet, many children, even adults, do. A pastor told of a man who, as a child, became afraid when his parents did not return home when they said they would. He thought the second coming of Christ had taken place and he had been left behind. Maybe he had not been good enough, or maybe had not had the right kind of conversion experience to enter the kingdom. There are many who think that God is vengeful and must
is Lickens, and this is that house we saw, that empty house over there. Oh, really?
Can you see him?
Yeah.
You're lucky we're not farmers or we'd blow your head off.
Boy, they sure look like chipmunks, don't they? I've never seen a live gopher before.
There's Marvin's wife right there.
And an older man, but they'd been friends for years, and both celebrating a little, and he was hit in the head. We think sitting at the table, maybe used to argue quite a bit about bad sports or something. We don't really know. And this man has passed away now too. He's an older man. But it was sad.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah.
And I had moved to Bordet and made a home for him, and he was living with me. We really had a nice life.
Well, now,
when this
is this
happened.
your brother?
Yeah,
Or
my son.
your son?
Lola's brother.
My only brother.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It was just Verna and I, my family.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't have no just the one brother.
Yeah, your ma, your mother knew. But it's been so long.
Well, I'm sure I've met him. You know, I'd know his
Yeah,
face.
as little kids.
Yeah.
You'd be pretty little.
Do you remember Grandpa barking it off?
John?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember coming out here at his funeral.
Well, then Vernon was here.
Vernon was the pallbearer.
He was one of the pallbearers. I remember that, but I thought he was
yeah,
in.
kind of reddish blonde hair.
Okay, I remember him being.
You couldn't hardly forget him.
I remember him
once.
being a pallbearer. I remember that.
Yeah.
But I guess I was thinking he was in Wally's wedding though.
No, No, we weren't even wrong.
He was the kind there was something about him you'd remember. He'd always pay special attention to people, kind of.
You know, I was going to ask you about did you know anything about, did Letty and Alfred have a Lavina for a child, or?
I don't even know.
Who's that? Oh, you didn't know them?
Who are they?
Yeah, you knew Alfred, actually.
Oh, Alfred.
Josie's sister.
Oh, okay. I just told your uncle about that. There was 5 that she had. Marcy, well first...
you told him you didn't remember.
No.
talking about Wendell. No, be nice.
I'm gonna go check on this.
It was James, Kermit, Marcy, and Jean, and then Muriel, the sister is the oldest. And she and your and Grandma kept real close. Touch. Muriel, I expect. She married Bakken, Selma Bakken.
Where was Josie?
Oh, really?
Where was Josie?
She's in Grand Forks out
That's
there.
Sally Thruston's uncle, and he was, that was Muriel's husband. She divorced him, though.
But you were wondering about somebody.
Well, yeah. You know, did you know Letty or?
Yes, not Letty. That was Mrs. Alfred Exer.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Well, there's a Lavena or something over there.
That's the second wife.
Is that his second wife?
Right.
Well, she was about
Elvana,
15 years younger than him.
15 to 20 years younger. She was a hired gal
when Letty died.
When after she died, he hired her.
Hired a gal.
And they had a family.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I was wondering. It could have been his kid, you know, because it was that much younger than him. So.
That was his wife.
That was his second wife.
Her name was Clemenson.
What is Josie's sister buried here too?
Which one?
The one that was married to Axe Henry?
Well, Letty. Letty was
Josie's
sister.
Oh, okay. She's buried here too then, huh?
Well, she's right by Alfred there.
Oh.
Yeah, they're right over here.
How about his second wife?
Yeah,
then?
second wife is there too.
Oh, I see. They're all three there. Oh. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I knew it.
Well, you probably know a lot of good stories about all these people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But Marlis didn't have any clue about her, huh?
It was a surprise. Yeah, they got a call at work with Morton and Maxine.
No, what's your last?
Elma.
Your Elma, okay.
Van Eddie's brother. Your grandpa's brother.
Okay. You're Van's daughter.
Van's wife.
Van's
I'm
wife.
Lola's mother. And I divorced Van. Tell Lola that.
Well,
just a little
Van
bit.
died a long time ago.
Yeah, in 48. I've been single ever since.
You're kidding.
He was an awful husband.
Well, Van, why? Did he drink a lot or something?
Yes.
Oh, he's buried right over here, isn't he?
And yeah.
48. You've been single 41
Long
years.
before you were born.
Yeah, well, not long.
Well, some. Yeah.
Before I was born.
Yeah.
No kidding.
And very close to Josie. Josie and I were, well, we had a lot in common.
Well, because Eddie used to drink too.
But he turned out so good.
Yeah.
And he was very good the first years of marriage. I remember. And then he and Van started. Van was worse.
Van and him went out together, huh?
Terrible.
She was married to my grandpa's brother.
And I'm Lola's mother, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And her husband has...
He didn't realize I was Van's wife.
Well, who did you think she was?
Well, you know, I mean, he died so long ago that I thought maybe this
yeah.
was Van's daughter or something. You know? That's what I said.
Lola's sister.
Well, I've seen you over at Josie's, both you guys over at Josie's before.
Oh, yeah, I used to go to your dad and mother's all the time. When you kids
They were there a lot. Eddie, in fact, Eddie and Josie, Eddie gave her away when they got married.
Oh, really?
Because Van had passed away then.
I got married in 51.
Really?
I said I was a widow in 48.
Grandpa gave me away.
Really?
He came for my wedding.
No.
I was very close to your grandpa. Your grandma
Very
both.
close to Eddie.
I stayed with them all the time when I was in high school in Edinburgh. Go down to Grand Forks, stay overnight with Josie and Eddie. I could bring 2 or 3 friends with me. We'd all stay there.
Really?
Yeah.
And now Eddie was
Wally and Warren were little.
Now he was on his second family, like.
Yeah.
See, the 2 oldest and then the 2 youngest, about 10 years apart.
Yeah, it was like 2 families.
Then when Wendell went to Seattle the first time, he stayed with us in Edinburgh, and then he hitchhiked to Seattle. That was the last time I seen Wendell until...
For a long time.
Well, him and Wendell and his dad didn't get along too well.
No.
And Wendell had a good reason.
He had a good reason.
Yeah.
We know that. We know.
Yeah.
But then
Eddie really straightened out.
Well, did Van just die from drinking too much?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
It was caused by
He was just all deteriorated, so when he did have surgery, nothing healed.
Nothing healed.
And then he went into a coma. Took a long
his
time.
kidneys is twice enlarged.
Yeah.
Well,
But then Eddie quit drinking about a year after Dad died.
And then he was good.
Good sailing all through after that.
Yeah, he was good to us as
Well,
grand.
Josie said he was, you know,
Just
she had a
different
husband
person.
then those last 20 years or something.
Really
of
good
his
life for Josie the last years.
Yeah.
And the first years were nice too.
Yeah, but they're in between.
But they were.
They were impossible.
Because I didn't.
Boy, those flies are biting.
I did. We had a restaurant in Edinburgh, and I could handle that kind
You had a restaurant in Edinburgh. What was the name
of.
of that?
Van's Cafe.
Van's Cafe, huh? Oh.
The big shot had his
Well, you
name.
know, your grandpa and my dad looked an awful lot alike.
Did they?
After Dad died, and then after.
Is it your?